Hello and welcome to another Happy Pod, the show where whenever I'm the guest, I do the intro for some reason. This is a show where we talk about movies, pop culture stuff, mostly movies, and we try to put a positive spin on things. We try. I'm joined by James, Mr. Sunday Movies.
It's just the two of us today.
We're taking over. And there's two other guys here.
Thanks for letting us be here, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us on your podcast. I'm really happy to be here. Yeah. So, Lawrence, well, this is our podcast.
Yeah.
But you've brought in your colleague, Ben, and your boss, James, this week.
There are two men that are the reason I don't have to go into an office and work a boring job anymore. So they are here. This is the 100th episode.
This is.
Woo.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here, everyone.
Oh, no worries.
We have an actual professional podcaster here.
I know.
Is that me?
Yeah.
Oh,
So for our 100th episode, we decided to do something big. Just reach out to James, get him on. He was gracious enough to say yes, so thank you for being here. And then Ben just thought, why not? I'll come along too. So I guess you're here for the episode now as well, Ben.
Yes.
We can, like I said, when Ben first joined us, Ben was the first high-profile person we've had on here, and it can only benefit us for both of these names to be here.
yeah, maybe.
We'll happily give your podcast a little shout out at the end.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
So, yeah.
Whatever it's called, yeah.
Yeah, we'll help you out with that. But you chose the movie that we're talking about today, James. So what is that? Just give us a quick rundown of it.
Absolutely. Okay, so our sun is dying. Mankind faces extinction. 7 years ago, the Icarus Project sent a mission to restart the sun. That's the intro to the movie Sunshine, a movie that I saw in 2007. Danny Boyle's own. It was written by Alex Garland, who's gone on to direct Ex Machina and the one where they go into the weird dimension where everything's a mutant or whatever. And the one that came out recently, which I'm completely blanking on.
Men,
yes. So weird, just real weird shit. But one of the earlier things that I recognize him for is this movie, which nobody saw at the time. And every now and then you'll see it pop up in a subreddit. It's like, this movie is actually underrated. And then 100 horrible nerds go, it's not actually underrated. It's actually very good. Everybody knows it's good. It's classic sci-fi. The person goes, okay, sorry. Anyway, that's me. I'm in there. Just being mean to people who haven't seen this movie.
Nathan said to me, James is definitely going to choose Sunshine. And I went, we'll see. We'll check in. And then I literally Googled Mr. Sunday Movies Sunshine. And the first video I found was top 5 underrated sci-fi movies.
Yeah.
it's been a part of your brand, I think. As far as I've been aware of you, James, I've known that you love Sunshine, this movie that I think you're the biggest fan of it as far as I'm concerned.
I mean, maybe. I'd like to think so. I also, Danny Boyle likes it. Well, he would, but he's the director of it. And also Chris Evans at a time, and this was maybe 10 years ago, was it was the best movie I ever made. I don't know if he thinks that now. Maybe he likes the one where he's got a niece and she's got a super brain or whatever. Seen that one. As you probably know, I can't remember the names of any movies.
I don't know if you're aware, James, but I watched this movie for the first time today. All right, the first time I saw it today. Yeah. Then afterwards, I just had a look on IMDb, just seeing what I could find. I went onto the trivia section. I don't know if you're aware of this, but one of the items of trivia on there is, and I quote, favorite movie of Weekly Planet host James Clement, aka Mr. Sunday Movies.
Yes. Incredible. And I didn't do that as well. I would have done that, but somebody's beaten me to it.
That is brilliant.
Another piece of trivia I found, which is less fun, just says that the character Harvey was named after Harvey Weinstein due to his rude and snappy attitude.
Harvey's the only person in this who's not a really famous actor now. Is that right?
Yes. He's the one who dies.
Yeah, he's Ross. He's Ross from Friends, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't there a few instances? I swear loads of people in this time were making shit look like Harvey Weinstein, right?
Yeah, there was that orc from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
That's true, yeah. Tom Cruise in whatever it was, Tropic Thunder. That's Harvey Weinstein-esque, isn't it?
Oh, fuck yeah, I forget he did that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I miss it when Tom Cruise did some... I like what he's doing now, but I miss it when he did some real weird shit.
I thought you were going to say, I miss seeing Harvey Weinstein pop up.
Oh, no.
Just parodies of a transparently awful man.
I'm aware of Sunshine as a movie. Well, for one, James kept banging on about it, but I mostly associate that piece of music, Adagio in D minor. That's the big reason, because everyone kind of uses that for all their trailers. It was in the Days of Future Past trailer, I think, which is an amazing trailer that I freaking love. But I sat down and finally watched it, and I was kind of like, oh, this is very surprising. It feels very grounded, but I was also very confused at the same time because it's kind of very heady in a way, while also mixed with this kind of like weird slasher kind of
really bizarre
psychological kind of journey. Very, very interesting. I also just didn't. Maybe I would love to figure out on this podcast why people are so horny for the sun. I hope that would be something we can achieve, because I want to be educated on that.
That is one of life's biggest mysteries. So yeah, I hope we can figure that out.
I was just going to ask, am I the only one who's like, this is great? And like I say, it's like my favorite movie ever. I don't know whether like that is actually true, but every time I watch it, I'm like, this is strange and great. And like, I even like the third act twist. And is that just me? Like, I know there are a lot of people who have been like, this sucks and you're an idiot. So, and I'm totally open to that. I get that literally every day.
It's a slow burn. I feel like it takes a little bit for it to properly get going. But a lot of Danny Boyle and Garland movies are like that, though. But no, I quite enjoyed it quite a bit, especially when it got to like that third act sort of slasher element of it all. It was quite enjoyable. What do you think of it, Lawrence? I'm interested to know, because you hate everything usually.
No, I don't. Fuck you. I don't hate everything. I work real hard to get rid of this narrative that you built for me. You know that. I don't know. Right. So and now this is going to make me sound like an idiot as well, because I was real on board with this. I was like, yeah, I love this. And then in the spirit of what you said last time you were here, Ben, it's not that I don't like the twist in the third act. It's more, I want to understand it a bit more. Like, it seems like such a bizarre choice for the movie that was playing, and then I'm suddenly like, there's a Michael Myers Sun Man running around stabbing people. And it confused the hell out of me.
The Sun Man is weird. I don't necessarily understand the Sunshine Man.
I definitely feel confused, and not from like a... I have a suspicion that this is really genius, and I just still don't get it.
Yeah.
And I think hearing from someone who loves it would be a really good way for us all to learn.
Oh, look, I don't know whether I can help you with that, because it's a very odd choice. And like, there's such... I like the way he's presented. Like, he's kind of... Instead of being like cast in shadow, he's cast in light, so you never quite get a sense of him. It's like in a dream when you can't like see somebody properly.
Yeah.
And you're running from something that you're not quite sure what it is. And he's got this like horrible, wet, like cancerous kind of noises when he moves, because he's just been sitting in the sun for 7 years. And you can also see like there is something about the sun in this movie that sends people mad, because you see Cliff Curtis's character, who I fucking love, by the way. Incredible.
He's my favorite character in the movie.
Amazing. He's clearly like going in that direction as well. So I don't have an explanation for it. And I also totally get why like people don't like it, because it's a completely different thing. Like I can't explain it. Like, I can't. I'm sorry. And there's a bit where they like shed like the skin off his arm at the end.
They pull his arm off? Is that what happens?
I think it's just like they like deglove him.
It comes off like, you know, when you've done the washing up and you like kind of peel the marigold glove off. It came off too easily, and I was really disturbed by it.
Yeah.
It looked wet and slimy and grim. Nathan, I wanted to ask you really quickly.
Sure.
Before this really gets going, does it feel like the premise of a 2005 Doctor Who episode?
I was going to say, there is a Doctor Who episode which is very similar to this.
Yeah.
There's one set on a spaceship as it hurls towards the sun. But it's different enough, you know? There's no weird...
Yeah, everyone dies. Basically, yeah.
Yeah, but no, it's different enough. One thing I liked is, I liked Chris Evans in this quite a lot. And he seemed, amazing. For me anyway, he was the only actually capable member of the crew. Like, when they were having discussions and he was like, no, we're not fucking going to the ship. I was like, yeah, that's absolutely right.
Listen to Captain America.
Exactly.
Yeah. Listen to mean Captain America. No, you're right. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
His character, though, I actually thought the movie was going a different way at one point. Because they have that moment where it's Chris Evans, Michelle Yeoh, and then I think it's Rose Byrne, maybe? And they're saying, like, oh, we don't have enough oxygen for everyone, but we have enough oxygen if 2 people die, basically. So from that point, I was like, are they gonna start killing some people? Is that what's gonna happen? Are they gonna start getting rid of people so they can complete the mission because they're the only ones like with the strength to do it? And even when Benedict Wong fucks them over, I still thought that's how it was going down. You know, Chris Evans was explaining like, he fucked us over, we need to get rid of him, basically. I still thought like, is this real, or are you spinning a tale here so you can kill Benedict Wong?
I love that about that character too. Like he doesn't care about anybody on that ship, like even himself. Like the way he goes out, like all of it, and he doesn't really sort of save the day. Like at the end, you think like, well, if only Captain America, and I know he wasn't Captain America at the time. I also know when he was cast as Captain America, I'm like, he's gonna fucking nail that, like because of this movie.
Wow.
You just think like, oh, if only Captain America can fight the Sun Man, but it never comes to that. And also, he probably couldn't win because he fights like Cillian Murphy, who's like a rake in a t-shirt. Like they're all nerds. They're not action heroes, and I love that.
Chris Evans and Cillian Murphy have a bit of a scrap, but then like they're just both immediately puffed and just can't get out of it.
I love in the first time they have a scrap early on, all like the other guys rush in to separate it. And the second time, all the other guys are dead, and Michelle Yeoh and Rose Byrne just let them fight. They're just like, whatever. And then they just collapse, and then they just like walk over their bodies and just like, fucking idiots.
When Chris Evans died in this, I found it quite... Like, like I'm in the moment and it's emotional and everything like that. But a part of me smirked because he is the only man like 100 meters away from the sun that dies by being frozen to death. It got me.
He gets frozen quite a bit because he drops the wrench early on and then he fucking flies out into space later. And then he eventually, gets frozen to death, like a Captain America would.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's good.
He's built for the role. Yeah.
His inclusion and sort of the way they do that, like a lot of these movies, in order to have conflict and tension, you want a character who's like, can incite kind of conflict and sort of be a dick, and everyone kind of has a reason to hate him. And so it makes sense that you make it one of the most competent people. That's the reason that he's around, and that's the reason they all tolerate it.
Yeah.
Which is a nice, that it doesn't feel forced at all.
Absolutely.
Which I appreciate.
Chris Evans is really good. Like, he was Captain America for a while, and I know he left because he was like, I want to do some other stuff. But I think as good as he is at being like the honorable, righteous guy, he's so good at being just an unlikable dick. Like he's so good. Like he's in Knives Out. He's a dick in Scott Pilgrim for like the little bit that he's in.
Johnny Storm.
Yeah, he's kind of a dick.
He's a dick in The Gray Man.
Yeah, I haven't seen that. I was going to say where he's got the little mustache. Yeah, I haven't seen it. Man, I should watch a bunch of those Netflix originals movies that they spend $200 million on. Like, I just never watch them. Like, oh yeah, okay.
I don't either. I can't bring myself to it. They all seem terrible. I mean, that's probably a bit harsh, but especially for this podcast where we try to stay positive.
Yeah, I'm not getting that sense from you. Yeah.
The name kind of came out of just something we used to say, and we try and keep it positive, but we always say, oh, we try and succeed. We never do. Like if we just don't like something, we're just like, I transparently don't like this. It's clear.
But that's fine. You don't have to like everything, and I think also like incessant positivity is like, I don't like that personally.
Yeah.
Like just somebody who like cannot be like, maybe this it isn't good, That's fine. You're allowed to say that.
What are we thinking of the scripts in this? Because I found it like fucking really tight in terms of like they're astronauts, they're in space, they're smarter people than me. The screenwriters definitely, or Alex Garland's definitely smarter than me. So there's loads of stuff that I've just found really nicely done. Like they're saying a bunch of shit like the ship's got to go around this and it's got to do this at 300 somethings, and then it's a great way of getting exposition over. But then it also works on a character basis as well, because the character saying it is like egotistical and cocky, and the other astronauts are like, we fucking know all of this, we're astronauts too. But I'm like, now I'm clued in as well, and I like that.
Yeah, there are moments like that. Yeah, absolutely. It's so clear, and I remember seeing this behind the scenes that they know what they're doing. Like when, and this is it's all in like the design of the ship as well, because when something goes wrong, there's not a big red sign that goes danger, danger, there's an asteroid or whatever. Like there's like a tiny little blinking light in like the corner of the screen. And they know that. Like they know what everything on that computer and everything in the ship is. So that it doesn't need to be like spelt out. But you're right, they do enough of just letting the audience in to, to be like, come along, you could come with us on this. But don't touch anything.
I thought the computer, did they actually just call her Icarus?
Yeah.
Icarus is the AI.
I was walking around, I won't say it now because there's one in the room, but the Amazon things that you can speak to in your home. I was like I was making some dinner after this, and I was like talking to that Amazon thing. And I was like, I feel like I'm doing some spaceship stuff. I just felt really powerful telling a computer to do shit for me after this. But yeah.
This is like a quintessential sci-fi movie to me, and just that like there's a lot going on. At the same time, it's very simple, but it's also just got this like bleakness about it where I just feel I don't feel safe at all, and I feel like this is just gonna go terribly wrong, and I know the plants are gonna they're all gonna go.
Yeah. And then they're like, here's more plants, and then they're like, no, this is a bad place actually. You thought this was good, but this is bad. It's your fault.
Yeah. And so it's not my particular flavor of sci-fi, but you can just like I appreciate on that kind of like quintessentialness of it, and sort of like, yeah, it's sci-fi. You're supposed to feel upset and really depressed, and then only get a glimmer of hope at the end, maybe. But
yeah, even at the end, they're like, did they succeed? I was like, that Earth still looks pretty dull, but then like it got a little bit brighter, and you saw the Sydney Opera House. Which is that why it's your favorite movie, James?
I forgot that completely. I don't know. Yeah, but just I mean, in Australia, we love when like the world has been destroyed. It happens all the time, and then they montage around the world, and then there's just like a giant monster or whatever just falling in front of the Sydney Opera House, or a crashed spaceship, and everyone in the audience goes, "Yay! Thanks for acknowledging us," because we're pathetic here.
We get Big Ben going.
Yeah, we love Big Ben being destroyed.
Yeah, the London Eye gets kicked over a bunch of times in various shit, so that's not bad.
I love the idea of the London Eye getting kicked over, just a giant coming in and going, ugh, and then just like and keep moving. What you were saying before, Ben, about how like awful it feels, and it does. And apparently there's some rule in sci-fi, and again, I remember seeing this in behind the scenes, where you're supposed to cut to the outside of the spaceship like every 9 minutes or whatever, so it doesn't feel like you're trapped the entire time as an audience member. And apparently they just push that to the absolute limit. They only cut outside like very sparingly and when they have to. And even things like those spacesuits that they're in, which were I know a lot about this movie, but like designed from Kenny from South Park, like literally, like that's how they're designed to look like that, and they're awful, like awful to be in. There's a moment where Cillian Murphy falls over in one, and you're like, oh no, that's terrible news. Just everything sucks.
Those spacesuits did not look great at all. Like even when they're inside them, they have like a view which is tiny as well. It's just literally going over their eyes, which I guess is all you need. But from the inside, it doesn't look great.
It fucks all your peripheral. I was thinking like astronauts are equipped better now, right? What year is this set in?
2057.
Why have we made it smaller? Why was that the way it was?
Because of the sun.
Oh,
you're not looking at the sun. It's a visor.
Yeah. Oh, it makes sense.
Wait, were we supposed to do another happy question?
All right, just a complete peel back behind the curtain here. We jumped on and we were like, we're gonna get there a bit earlier. We were here waiting, ready to record, and I was like, oh shit, I didn't do it. And I thought, I've got to think of a good one because James is here and it'll be embarrassing if I don't think of a good one.
That would be embarrassing.
I know. And what's even more embarrassing is that I couldn't think of one, so we both just went, fuck it, we won't do it this week. Basically.
And we would have gotten away with it, but Ben...
Yeah, thanks a lot, Ben. Fucking hell.
What an absolute shambles. Thanks for bringing this up, man. I thought this was a professional operation.
This podcast is held together with tape and hopes, so if you're expecting professional...
That's all podcasts, though.
I do have a question.
Sure.
Maybe it's not another happy
question.
question.
No, well, fuck it. We're going to play the theme here. Ben, take it away.
Let's do it.
Another happy question.
But this is a question I want to be answered right now.
Okay.
Because I think it's an interesting... I feel like very strongly that the sun is meant to symbolize or be a specific metaphor to a very specific thing. But I can't for the life of me find what it is. I don't know if anyone else got that sense, but to you, what does the sun mean in this movie?
Wait, can I go before James maybe reaffirms it or proves me wrong?
Yeah.
You go, absolutely.
Is it religion or addiction?
Ooh. Okay. Ooh. I was going to say I have no idea, but now I'm going to say I think it's addiction.
I don't know specifically. I love that idea of both of those. This works better than what I've always thought is that they just paint the sun as a villain. Like the sun is terrible in this, and they're barreling towards it, and you fall in love with it, and it's the sun, so what are you doing? Like, which speaks to addiction, but it plays... like it's ominous. Like from Earth, it's great with an atmosphere, but when you're like exposed to it, like even slightly, it's terrible. Like it's terrible and terrifying. Yeah, but that's not like a metaphor. That's just like it's the way that they painted.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I think actually I'm going to take that a little further because you're kind of ticking my brain a little bit. So I think what I could see the movie as is like a sort of just meditation with coming to terms from an evolutionary perspective that we only exist because of this big ball of fire. And if it went away, we would all die. And the sheer magnitude of like accepting that and facing it, and serving it. It is a god. We used to worship the sun.
Yeah.
And there's a very valid reason for it, I want to say. Maybe not, ethically or spiritually, but like from just a coming to terms with our reality. And I think that as far as a sci-fi concepts to explore sort of these fundamental natures of reality, the sun as the father of our solar system is a huge deal. That's really interesting. That's maybe changed my whole perspective now. I think I found the answer now.
And that's why you come here, Ben. Every now and again, you just need to explore something a little bit.
Yeah. And then you'd go mad. That makes so much sense because, in that position, you'd be lonely, you'd be isolated, and you'd be looking at this thing and comprehending first the sheer size of it, which our brains couldn't for a second process.
Yeah.
And then being isolated with it, except whatever's going on in your brain, you'll probably just snap at some point and think that you are the emissary.
That's one of the things I love about this that kind of gripped me from the beginning is they set the sun up as this fucking force, right? Because the sun's the sun. Everyone has a vague understanding of what it is and does. But say for
people
movie,
love recognizing an Easter egg in a movie, and they're like, "That's the sun."
Top 10 things you've missed. It's the sun.
That's the sun from Captain America.
Yeah, but they have to recontextualize it in this movie. And like one of the very first scenes is a guy looking at the sun, and he's like, "That's a pretty big sun." And then the movie's like, "That's only 3% of the sun. You want to see the whole fucking sun?" And he's like, "Oh, I couldn't do that. Fuck me up," basically. So they say that at the beginning. And I love, James, I love your take on it as well, because at the end, it is a villain. They literally go, "Here's the sun. He's stabbing people now."
That is true, yeah. And I love the introduction of the sun, which speaks to what you were saying. You see, you pull in on what you think is the sun at the start, and then you realize it's the reflection of the sun. It's the solar sails of the ship or whatever they are that powers it, and they flip it around, and you're like, "Oh God!" Like that's that's the sun. Like they kind of double sun you at the start. It's like the start of Star Wars where
Double sun you.
You get the smaller spaceship, and you're like, "That's pretty big," and then you get the big spaceship, and you're like, "Oh, that's much bigger." Yeah. And then you're like, "Is there a third, even bigger spaceship?" There's not. There's only two. But
wow, this is even like making me come to terms with the sort of even the twist and sort of like the third act, because it's like this sort of embodiment. He's like a Jesus of this sort of evil God, I guess, and sort of having someone comprehend how like the nihilism and the what's the word like you just go fucking nuts and that's what it is, and sort of. This thing doesn't care about you. It doesn't know you exist. It's an Eldritch kind of thing. It's Lovecraft or Eldritch. It's probably Eldritch. One of those two. It's this Eldritch feeling of powerlessness and what it can turn you into by maybe asking even those big questions. I don't know about you, but like sometimes if I ask some of the big questions, I get into like a bad mental state. Like it kind of like gets me into like this mood, and I hate it, and it becomes like ugly.
Yeah.
And if you had to send someone out to save the universe, like you're signing a death sentence.
Just thinking about the universe sometimes it can ruin my whole day. Like, have you ever sometimes there's videos on YouTube and it's like the entire like lifespan of the universe, and then when you realize like how just not even a blip we are, just how insignificant it is, you're just like, well, what the fuck is the point of anything, really?
Yeah.
And it's just, it can ruin your whole month. I've lost entire months of my life just to that shit.
And welcome back to another happy pod, everyone.
I totally know what you mean. And when, people are like, well, in 100 years, you'll be dead and nobody will remember. But I'm like, well, that's bad though, isn't it? Like, I guess that's good that nobody remembers that I wet my pants, in grade 1 or whatever. I don't know, but yeah, that idea of that infinite expanse of like nothing and everything, and with just such a tiny blip, it's horrifying. Yeah, don't think about
That's
it.
what the
No,
movie's
yes.
about. That's what I'm getting right now. I thank you. This is very useful because it almost functions like it's just like a commentary on existence in that end, and that's what sci-fi is all about to me. So there you go. I fucking love this movie.
There you go. We solved it. We solved
This
it.
is gonna be the arc every time I show up on the podcast. I'm gonna be like, I have questions.
Yeah.
And I end up loving the movie.
The Sunshine Man still confuses me. I don't understand the Sunshine Man, and I think that's okay. Maybe it's supposed to confuse you a little. I guess. Was he? So he was there for 7 years. Did he eat? Did he do anything, or did he just not exist?
Ate from the garden and
Oh, okay, yeah, the
or
garden was
whatever.
there.
He had, he had like 3 years of food. And
Yeah, because the other guys are dead, so they can split the resources, right? Or
Yeah.
not split them. He can just have them. Yeah.
yeah, I assume he put them all in the sunroom and like cranked it up, or
Yeah,
maybe he stabbed them and propped them up there. I don't know what he was doing.
well, that was
Staring at
Mark
the sun.
Strong, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Mark Strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With fucking hair as well.
Oh yeah.
It's fucking, like that dated it immediately. I was like, I'm pretty sure that's Mark Strong, but he's not bald. It is Mark Strong, and he isn't bald. It's crazy.
One thing that I hated about this movie going into it was, you probably don't remember the trailer, but there's a moment, and it's an awesome moment in the movie, where Icarus is telling Cillian Murphy that they're all going to die. And he's like, yeah, I know. And she's like, no, there's not enough oxygen. And he's like, no, I know. And then she's like, no, there's 4 people. And he's like, oh, fuck. Like that moment is in the trailer, or one of the
shit.
trailers. So I knew this was going to happen going
fuck.
into it. So maybe
Yeah.
the twist, of that, because like it didn't come so much out of left field. But I love that moment, that dawning realization of, how is there an extra person here? All the people are here. Like, what do you mean there's another person?
Why would you put that in the trailer?
Yeah, that seems like a
Crazy.
stupid choice.
Yeah.
That's the fucking movie. That's the thing. Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, that was kind of the moment for me, like where I started to like, not that I wasn't paying attention, but where I was like, oh shit, this is actually.
I should watch this.
Yeah, I should get off Twitter. What the hell? Yeah. No, good. I really enjoyed it. Danny Boyle doesn't usually miss. Oh well.
I would say he doesn't.
No, yeah.
Personally.
There's always hits there. So
Oh, there's that one about hypnosis. You guys seen the weird
Trance.
hypnosis one? Yeah. You kind of got to get on board that with like hypnosis is magic.
Yeah,
To kind of go along with that. Maybe I should watch it again, but yeah, I didn't love that one.
I like that. I think I maybe saw that. Like I remember watching it. I was on a boat holiday with my family, and not like a nice expensive boat holiday. It was like I was like really cold.
A rubber
and-
dinghy on the
Yeah,
on the
no,
Thames.
but it maybe just one step above that, and it was some like awful DVD player on like a very very small screen. And I watched that movie, and I was like, I really like that, and I love the memory of liking it, so I've never rewatched it. I'm scared to, so in case it changes my mind. One thing that I kind of want, maybe because I have like somewhat of a note on it, and I maybe someone can help me flesh it out a little bit more. I've often found like in thrillers, this kind of the fear is often found in like the unknown, and like no one knows what's going on, and it's the mystery and everything like that. And this does have that to an element. But do you think there's something like even scarier in the fact that at every single point we know what the threat is to a degree? Because someone's like, what's going on? And the computer's like, you're 90% fucked in this scenario. And it's always but like what I'm saying is there's always you're always well informed, but somehow that's even scarier than not knowing what's going on, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
maybe because like you know what it is, but you also know how powerless you are to stop it, because like Ben was saying, the sun is just fucking incomprehensible. You can't stop the sun. So like what do? You're right, Lawrence. Like a lot of the movie is, this is what's wrong. Deal with it. Oh, you can't deal with it? Okay, cool.
Well, die. Yeah.
Yeah. But
You're dead now. You didn't
But
respect
then when-
the sun, and now you're fucking dead. Sorry, God.
But then when it switches over into the weird Sunshine Man is here, and you don't have the fucking foggiest clue what the fuck is going on, that's when it becomes more interesting to me, because yeah, it's weird. Yeah, I don't get it at all. Like it's probably symbolizing something. It's maybe a metaphor, who knows? But it's weird and it's scary, and I don't know what's going on, but I know I don't want to meet that Sunshine Man.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that the real turning point, and obviously this is when they literally turn the ship, and the captain, what's his name? Hiroyuki Sanada, who's
Yes.
incredible, by the way.
Really
When
good.
he
Captain
dies.
Kaneda?
Kaneda, yeah. And the actor's name's Troy Garrity, and I feel bad up top being like, who's this guy? He's not famous. Because he's amazing as like the backup captain who everybody transparently is like, oh, we hate this guy. Like somebody should have vetted this dude before.
I love that he's like, for some reason, the second in command, but when shit hits the fan, he's like, oh, give me the suit. And everyone's like, you're fucking useless. Why would we give you the suit?
And he's like, but I'm the captain. And they're like, that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. I feel like he wasn't made the captain. And then like on the mission, everyone's like, should we just, we'll give him second in command. Why not?
You might be right. Yeah.
Great death though. Like his death visually.
Oh, really good.
Really good. Like I think it was his leg or a piece of his arm that broke off, and because it was so frozen, it just shattered immediately. So yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really good deaths in this, I feel, as well. Like for a movie that's not really a horror movie, there's a little bit, it kind of is, but there's just a lot of really horrific stuff going on. Like, yeah, there's the guy, he's jettisoned into space. The captain gets blasted by the sun. Chris Evans gets his leg caught and freezes to death.
Oh, yeah.
Benedict Wong kills himself or is killed by Pinbacker. Like, I think he kills himself, but I think there's some ambiguity there.
Yeah.
I feel like it's implied that he just because like he's the reason it all fucked up. He kind of like it's a bit of guilt on him that he just cuts his own wrist in the earth room or whatever it is.
Yeah.
The death of like the captain, like looking at getting blasted by the sun, was like the most standout kind of moment from this for me. Probably because Adagio from D major is blaring. Sure, It's like, this is really important and beautiful. It's like, but the juxtaposition of that sort of like sheer beauty, and it's like sort of looking at the truth in like, I don't know, like Full Metal Alchemist or something, but like it's seeing like the answers to everything by like, you're looking at God. I don't know if you guys are Bible buffs or anything, but Moses went up to the mountain, and I think it was like after he made the 10 Commandments or whatever, and he saw God. But God apparently like shielded his, but he wasn't supposed to see. You can't see God's face. This is like lore in the Bible. If you look at God's face, you'll explode. Much similar to the sun. But so, and this is how I remember it. But God basically puts his hand over the mountain and covers his face, and then he like shows Moses the back of him. Like, I don't know if it's supposed to be some ethereal body or something, but Moses sees God's back, and it's sort of like, whoa, it like stuns him.
Is he ripped? Has he got like big back muscles or something?
Yeah,
I guess.
Good lats.
Yeah.
He's got that V that everybody wants. You know?
Yeah.
Is that why Moses? Because I remember in the movie Charlton Heston comes back down and he's like fully grey.
Yeah, I think it was something to do with that. But because there was also Isaiah who also went through a similar experience. Basically, he went up to the same mountain, and then God kind of did the exact same thing.
He's got one trick, God.
Yeah. You want to do the thing? Yeah. But that's kind of what that reminded me of, is sort of this, which I guess supports then the sort of sun being religious or religion, like the sheer overpowering nature of the divine or the spiritual world that sort of we tap into, but we can't like experience, that it would destroy you. And that's like a limitation of human evolution or something, or wherever we're at this point. Like we can't, our reach isn't nearly as far as we kind of think it is. And that's, I don't know, that's it made me think a lot of big things at once, which I think is the mark of a really good death scene.
I think some of what you're saying in terms of the religious imagery with God and not being able to see his face, I think that kind of fits in with some of the visual language when it comes to the Sunshine. He's probably got an actual name, but I'm just going to keep calling him the Sunshine Man.
Yeah, I love it. I like it's amazing because it sounds nice. Yeah, oh, the Sunshine Man's here. Oh, that's bad.
No. Yeah, he's got a knife and he will kill you. But it's like a lot for the editing was done in a way like you never really got a clear look at him. It was always lots of quick cuts, and you'd see his face for like half a second, and then it'd cut away. And then even when they got into like the actual payload room at the end, the editing got really fucked up. Where it would like at one point I thought my like Disney Plus had fucked up because it was just like it would pause and then it would glitch out and it would freak and stuff. So you never got a clear look at what was going on. So you might be onto something there, Ben. You are a very clever man.
I love that choice as well, like with the editing, because it's I did the exact same thing. I was like, is something fucked up? Like, is something gone wrong with it? But it's almost like the way to visually convey that you can't comprehend what's happening. Like it's above you. You'll never be able to perceive what's happening in like a way that you can understand it. So I love the fact that they made it as kind of as jarring of an experience as possible to a point.
Yeah, it's really disorientating, especially when he like drops him off the edge and then the gravity like shifts.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, is this a thing?
It's the gravity of the sun would almost certainly crush you, but maybe the payload protects them or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
it was good. Yeah. It works. It got
to the point where they're that close to the sun. Where if you've been in the movie for that long and they're that close to the sun, they're all dead long before this. But you got to hand wave a few things. Yeah.
It's sci-fi. It's all.
Yeah.
I figured with the payload was just like it's so dense and it's basically 1 million nuclear bombs or whatever it's supposed to be that it's got its own gravity. So like wherever you're standing,
that makes sense.
Like I think I don't know because they don't really explain. They also don't explain that but this is true of the movie. The reason the sun is dying is because there's a miniature black hole in it, and that's which is apparently theoretically like a thing that could happen. So it's not like the sun is dying and they're reigniting it. It's got like a cancer that they're trying to like.
Whoa.
Basically like blot out. Yeah.
Okay.
You know, he speaks to other metaphors probably.
I was wondering if you guys felt the same. I think this movie, for a movie that is under 2 hours, it feels remarkably longer than that, I think.
Yeah. I was surprised it was, I always thought it was like 2.5. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Because it does feel like the Interstellar kind of like 3 hour runtime type deal, like especially with the stuff going on in it. It's so many heavy concepts being explored. You're like, how the fuck did they squeeze that in under 2? It's quite surprising. But I love the fact that they kind of longed it out certain points to a degree, because it gave the movie levity, but then, like, for example, I'll sum it up with Benedict Wong's character. He's like, I fucked everything up. And then he's gone for like 40 minutes. And then people are like, that guy's, he's not doing too well. And then it comes back to him later on and he's like, oh no, he's dead. And you go, oh fuck, I should have been paying more attention to like where this guy was.
I feel like this sort of, Alex Garland, I feel is like just very meditative in kind of his ideas, and like the kind of movies he makes sort of like settle in on this kind of overarching subject. And from this conversation, I'm kind of identifying that like, it's sort of just about coming to terms with like, not just your mortality, but the mortality of, I think, the universe. And I think like the saddest part for me of this movie was when Michelle Yeoh was like, my plants are all gone. That like really depressed me. I don't know why, but it was just like so visceral and just like a when it's a person dying, so we sort of view them through all these kind of complexes of like their personality and what they believe and what they stand for, their politics or whatever. Yeah. But when it's like just a plant just trying to bloom and sprout and be part of like an ecosystem, you lose that and you're like, oh no.
It's the nicest thing on the ship, like they've got the wall that like has a that shows you the beach, but that's not very good.
That's false. But like just sort of this like coming to terms with I guess the nature of reality, and if this happened, if this like horrible cataclysmic universe exploding event happened, because there's a bunch that apparently could happen. To me, the whole point of it, I guess, which it bums me out a little bit. So I can't say that it's my favorite movie of the world, but I really appreciate the realism of it. And I don't know, it's like the void. It's like talking about like the void of, don't look too far into the void sort of thing. Then that's another thing the sun could be. Maybe that's the black hole metaphor. Maybe the metaphor for the black hole is that the void is there. You're looking at a void when you look at the sun.
I wouldn't even like know if I was Alex Garland, I wouldn't know where to start writing this. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's heavy. Like, and like that's why I love. James, have you ever spoken about this in depth, or have I missed it? If you have,
probably like in passing, not really. I mean, I think we've done an episode on it where like this is a movie I like, and then I might done 10 minutes, but no, not really. Like I love this because like all these ideas and things that you're saying giving me different ideas and different perspectives on this movie. Because for me, it's just like it's got to the point where it's just like I like that movie, and then I don't think further about it. So no, this is great. It just feels real. They all feel like real people, and I think it's also because they all have backstories that you don't see as well. I know I can't remember all of them, but I remember Benedict Wong's character was some kind of genius hacker who got caught, and then he got funneled into this like space program or whatever. Okay. So you get the sense that he's a genius, and he's always been a genius, and he's always been like the smartest guy in the room. And then like he does this thing where he blanks. This is as we all do, and it just ruins him. Like, and of course, because he's doomed the planet, essentially, like potentially.
Yeah.
You would take that hard, but I love that aspect of it.
It's such a human fuck up as well, which I think is like it's easy to lose those kind of like if these characters weren't as fleshed out and as good as they are, it would be real easy to disconnect from this movie quickly because, like you say, you're in space. They push that rule you were talking about to the limit in terms of we're so confined in one ship for like most of the thing that if you don't have those kind of moments of human error, like that was genuinely one of my favorite scenes in the movie because people just come in and he goes, he's like recounting what he's done, and then he goes, oh, I didn't do that, fucking, oh shit, oh fuck, and then you just see everyone there being like, we all want to hit you, but we feel bad for you. It's crazy. It's there's great moments like that of that kind of like just natural human error and. Yeah, it's interesting.
I'm really coming around on this.
I love for a couple other things, but I'll just get these out. But feel free to stop me at any point. But Michelle Yeoh's character, she's not doing like crazy action stunts. She doesn't do anything. She just loves plants, and she's just like, stop being an idiot. Like that's, she's very level-headed, and it just like everyone. I'm assuming you guys have all seen Everything Everywhere All at Once. But I was watching that movie, and like 30 minutes in, I'm like, am I too old for movies? Like, there's just so much going on. It really, it threw me for a second where it's like, I don't think I get, I don't think I understand anything anymore. But then it all comes together. It's great. Oh, and Rose Byrne and Cillian Murphy, like, you get the sense that they may be in a relationship, but maybe they're just really good friends and they just hang out together. And I love that they didn't explore that. They're not like, we're in love and it's the end of the universe and look at us, we're together, we're the last two people hurtling towards the sun.
Yeah.
I love that as well.
Them two struck me as like in a ship full of just, like you said earlier, nerds and assholes. They're like the only two deep thinkers there where they're like, can we talk about like a concept or like just something other than the mission right now? So when you see them together, like, it's really nice. They're a good pairing. There's not really a bad pairing. Everyone's great in this. Like it's so full of names, and it was quite a surprise to watch them all come through.
Even the sun is really good.
The sun is great. The hero of the piece, I would argue.
Yeah.
And the Sydney Opera House also.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
But yeah, any final thoughts on that, anyone?
Well, what are people's favourite moments from this?
Ben, is yours the one where the guy gets blasted by the sun?
Yes. Well, in some ways, honestly, like my favorite is like the last moment. Like I think when Cillian Murphy's character like gets sort of engulfed by that. That to me is like just sort of like a more simple kind of image that's like feels very profound, and with all this sort of like build up to it, it's just like, oh, I guess okay, that's how it is. But as an image being engulfed by sort of God and like, did you save God? I don't know if this is going to work, but I'm sort of accepting my kind of ultimate fate. That I just love that shot deeply. So I would maybe, it's a toss up between both times that people get blown up by the sun would be my answer. I just really vibe with that shit.
Yeah. Lawrence, your favorite moment?
I'd probably say, I might be stealing this from you, James, because you mentioned it earlier. Just that amazing moment, the one that was put in the trailer, where Cillian Murphy's just there and he's like, he thinks this computer is just stupid and thinks it's fucking up because everything else on the ship is fucked at this point. And he's like, yeah, the fuck, everyone's dead. There's plenty of oxygen. And then just that moment where there is what's the line? Something like there's a fifth person or something. And
he goes, yeah, who is it? And the ship's like, I don't know. What are you looking at?
yeah. I'm an AI. I can't look.
I just remembered what that reminded me of. When you were saying, James, how that moment was spoiled for you in the trailer, when you were saying that earlier, that reminded me of, there was something I watched, and it was just like a really big moment in the movie, but it was ruined in the trailer, and I couldn't remember what it was, but it just popped into my head now. You remember having it Star Trek Beyond, the Beastie Boys moment, when they play the Beastie Boys at the end? Yeah, that was such a cool moment in the movie, but ruined in the trailer, and it pissed me off so much.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. And it's so lame in the trailer as well.
It is, yeah. Not good at all. Sorry, Lawrence, continue with your point.
Oh, no, that was it, really. I think it was just, I just liked how he was like, it's kind of how he froze in fear almost, and was like, who is it? And they're like, computer's like, I don't know. And he's like, where is it? And she's like, oh, it's here. And then, but like, I think maybe that's why I like it, because she says, oh, I don't know, for argument's sake, let's just say he's in room 5 or whatever. And then from that point on, the movie is just laser focused on being like, we're all going to room 5 now. We're going to fuck, what the fuck's going on? And it's the build up to we're about to understand this whole mystery, which is good stuff.
And I love that they wouldn't have programmed in to identify other people because there wouldn't be anybody else. So the computer's just like, I don't know. You tell me. I don't know.
You think that actually saying that though? Would this computer not have some concept? Because this is the captain of the previous ship, right? Like,
well, yeah, it's a different ship,
though.
I guess. So
different AI.
Maybe there's like a Hive Icarus or something, because it's always Icarus 1, Icarus 2, right? I think.
Yeah, but
also don't call it Icarus. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, that's bad.
Icarus 1 failed. Well, this is Icarus 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Terrible name. Yeah. My favorite moment, toss up between two. First one being the moment where Cillian Murphy is struggling to get to the payload, and he's scrambling. He puts on the suit, and then he falls over. And then it's just as the music swells and he builds up, and then he finally makes the leap out towards the payload. I think that's just a great, beautiful visual moment. And then the next one is at the end, the sun shines down on Earth. The Sydney Opera House is there. James is saluting, probably. And then there's beautiful orchestral music. And then it just hard cuts into this, like, really intense, like, new metal song as the credits play. It was so jarring, but great.
Yeah. That was so great. Totally out of nowhere as well. Yeah. When was this? 2007?
Yeah, that's a studio. That's got to be a studio. I've forgotten that as well. That's a studio note, right? Like, it could have been Linkin Park.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that, what I've done.
Yeah, you almost feel like the restraint was there right up until the credits, and then the studio went, we do this bit, get the fuck out.
That was great. Perfect end. James, your favorite moment?
I guess it's more of a visual, but I love the imagery of Michelle Yeoh sitting there. And she's cradling the plant, like just that little seedling, and the seedling, like, it doesn't mean anything, and it's not going to help at this point. Even if they were all going, to leave and not be murdered by the Sun Man. Like, that's nothing, but to her, like, it's so important, and I'm sure it's like emblematic of hope. And
it could be like the last, like, because that's one of the tragedies of this movie. I think that most of the crew die thinking they fucked it for everyone, and then it's done. And I think maybe that's her. Like, her job is, like, she's one of the 7 people to save mankind. Like, that's ridiculous. And I think I like that because it's like the symbolism of her being like, this is the only life I can protect here. So maybe that is enough for me as I slowly die from a horrible stab wound through the back. But,
Wow, all those moments that we picked were like, they were just like that was idea and execution, like, flawless in our kind of minds. I guess this movie really feels like a movie. It's probably. But no, I mean that, like, in the honest sense that I think Harry Styles was trying to say, and that, like, I as much as, like, I don't sort of intrinsically emotionally gravitate towards this, it really comes together, I think.
Yeah,
which is just shocking. I'm liking it even more now, and I'm gonna go watch it again as soon as I've done this, because all these kind of points are really good. Wow, I find it's very impressive, like, piece of filmmaking, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'd agree. Really good.
Apparently, Danny Boyle just had a terrible time of it. Like, I feel like he would make an incredible sci-fi movie again. But he doesn't want to do it. He's like, it was really hard. It was a hard movie to make. And he was talking about how, like, everything that you need in the movie like this, it has to be there from the start, except for the Sun Man. Like, you can't just introduce, like, oh, we've got a ray gun, and, like, now we're going to, like, it's, everything is there. Like, and every element of it is there from the start. Like, even, like, the second ship, there's a second ship.
Yeah.
Like, you don't think you're going to run into it necessarily, but
I'd be interested, and this is almost certainly for no one here, and also probably no one listening, but I need to say it.
Perfect. Let's hear it.
This is, I'd be very curious to find out if a certain series of Power Rangers was shot before or after this movie came out. Because the entire premise of sorry, Nathan, I can see you just shaking your fucking head. There's an entire series of Power Rangers dedicated to the idea that an A team flew off and were never heard from again, and so a B team went out and went, we're now the people that I guess can get it done because we're the second best, and it's literally the best we've got, the best chance. And then A-Team came back and they were evil. Like I said,
isn't it set in space?
Yeah, but it's kind of like a.
Is it SPD?
It's SPD.
Yeah, it's mostly set in a quarry, right?
It's no. This is after the quarry. There are some quarries, but it's a little bit bigger.
It's like Doctor Who. It's mostly set in a quarry in Wales. That's usually where it is. 2005. That was.
Was it?
Oh,
yeah.
There you go.
Danny Boyle, you dirty dog, stealing from Power Rangers SPD.
Yeah. Like how Christopher Nolan stole Inception from a Scrooge McDuck comic or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. It's like an old DuckTales comic that bears a striking resemblance to Inception, apparently.
It's a high concept comic. I wonder how that would read, yeah.
Not terribly, it's awful.
Yeah. You have to turn the pages round as you read them in a different order or something. Has anyone got any closing thoughts on it, really?
I mean, I just had Sydney Opera House. That was my last note. But,
my closing thought would be Sunshine Man is the Antichrist. That's my take.
Okay.
I like that.
If the sun is God, he's kind of like his sort of devoted apostle that goes crazy and thinks he's obeying God. He's like the church, essentially. They'll just violently mutilate you and just fraying on the limbs. That makes
more sense than Son Jesus. Yeah, somebody who's just completely missed the point.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Like the sun gives life. Well, for the most part, Yeah. And this guy's he's the last guy left in humanity. What are you doing? Get together, man.
Settle down. Calm down.
Exactly. Calm down. Somebody should have asked this guy in the interview to captain the ship to be like, "What do you think of the sun?" And when he was like, "I'm in love with the sun. I'm going to stare at the sun." And they're like, we don't think we should get the other guy, I reckon.
No sunshine for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. That's pretty much it. Thanks for joining us, James. It has been
thank you.
A pleasure.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Had a really good time. Do you want to plug your silly little podcast that you do?
I would love to, actually. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. It's called The Weekly Planet. It comes out every Monday. We talk movies and comics and TV shows. It's like this, but less depth. We don't think about it.
But more yes and. I think.
Yeah, more yes and, exactly.
James, I've got to tell you this, but when you say exactly what you just said, it's The Weekly Planet. It comes out every Monday. It's like my Winter Soldier activation trigger. I'm like, I should be editing this. I immediately go to oh wait, hang on, no, I don't have to go and find outro.mp4 or something for this. I tell you what, it's been really nice to talk to you, but like to hear you and to talk back.
Well, same, yeah. I'm sorry because I know I just send you guys just audio files and then you make them good. And I'm glad I do get a lot of comments that are like, this editing's good, actually. They don't think it's like me, and definitely not Mason editing these videos, sure. which is nice. Yeah.
The funniest thing that I see sometimes is in the comments, someone will be like, "Oh, Ben, this is why Ben's the greatest editor. Oh, I love it so much." And then I get a comment be like, "Actually, he's all right. He's not that good."
Really?
Sometimes I get people actually trying to measure me against really high quality,
against the other editors, or just
in general on YouTube editing. It's not the greatest. And I'm that makes the one season take.
If someone in a comment thread put me in a conversation with Ben, that'd be good. But so far, it's just. Ben's so good at these Caravan of Garbages, and I'm like, I've been here a fucking year now. My name's in them as well.
Yeah, Ben gets credited for all editing. So when I see it, I try to be like,
even colleagues.
This was a different person, but yeah.
It's okay.
I'll be like, Ben is a good editor, but he didn't do this. Actually, that's me being like, actually, he's not that good at editing.
Yeah, that was you.
That's one of the first things Collins ever said to me was just, "You will soon learn we are all Ben from Canada." It's true, yeah.
Yeah, and I get a lot of what happened to Ben when I mentioned somebody else, Matt or Collins or Lawrence. People are like, "What happened to Ben?" I'm like, he's fine.
From Mason recently, I heard as well.
Oh yeah. God, just not across it at all. It clearly comes in 2 hours a week. Yeah.
Thank you both for joining us, Ben. I know it was a bit last minute for you as well, quite literally.
Oh no, and for us,
yeah,
and just showed up.
It was very serendipitous.
It was good. That was good stuff.
It was like in the movie Sunshine when that guy showed up.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
Ben was the sunshine man all along.
There's a fourth person in the Discord. And then James is like Benedict Wong. Oh, I fucked it up. Oh, God.
I have no idea what we're doing, Nathan, for the next... should we end it here? Or should we do 101? Should we carry on?
We don't know. We're recording this a few weeks in advance, so no idea what next week is. Probably something. But here's a clip of it, which Lawrence will put in.
Why would I betray you?
We all have our secrets. We just didn't get to yours yet.
Lawrence, wrap us up.
If you like these, you can catch more of them. They go out every Friday at 10 a.m.
Look, if you do want to learn more about the show, you can hit us up on Twitter at
Another Happy Pod.
He's gonna get it.
Thank you. Thank you. The Never Happy Pod, where you can also follow both Nathan and Lawrence and Ben and myself if you're so inclined. Subscribe and leave a review, man. What's wrong with you?
And let's close out with What I've Done by Linkin Park.
Yes. Another Happy Pod, but it was released in 2007.